What's up, Lego builders? Welcome back to Coconut's Kingdom. Today I'm going to build my all-time favorite military vehicle and attempt to build a city block under invasion for it to patrol. Some would call this a tank, and others would call you a fool for calling it that, but whatever it is, I hope it lives up to my high expectations, or I'm going to have some explaining to do to my bank account. This will also be a good opportunity to practice my urban environments for an upcoming project, and just because I suck at buildings. So grab yourself a delicious beverage and open fire on that like button, because it's time to build a tank, or not a tank. I bought this M2 Bradley kit for $180 US from Brick Battlefield, a company who sells modern military kits and accessories. And now I get to see if I should have spent that money on something else. This will be my first modern military vehicle build since I was a kid back in the mid-2000s. I've been really impressed with other custom kits recently, especially in the techniques department. So I'm excited to see what's in store with this one. You start by building a very interesting chassis base. Normally when building a vehicle I start with large plates, but this one begins with a snot brick base that comes together in 3 chunks that are held together by black 1x tile, which when flipped over makes the underside of the vehicle. Brick Battlefield uses rubber wheels, which gives the vehicle a cool, realistic look, and they still fit in the treads. This is always the most tedious part of any tracked vehicle build. The chassis is full of repetitive steps and gears that need to line up just right, and most tanks have more wheels than an octopus has tentacles, so the chassis can take a while, but a tank with no tracks isn't very effective. This kit uses the Brickmania tread links, which I've used a couple of times and love. They have a strong connection point, and the little pins inside will mesh with most Lego gears and wheels. The body turned out to be quite a challenge. Unlike a Lego set, which typically comes together one chunk at a time, you start by building multiple sections that aren't hooked together for quite a few steps. So I was juggling 3 to 4 large pieces, trying to keep them all together and lined up while filming a somewhat cohesive time lapse. You can see I eventually gave up trying to build it all at once and just built one chunk at a time. I was interested to see how Brick Battlefield would capture the sloped sides of the Bradley without making it look super boxy. It's not a super round vehicle, being mostly flat on the sides with some slight curves at the top of the body. This right here is one of the reasons why I decided to get this kit, the printed pieces. It comes with 2 strips of printed tiles to represent reactive armor for the sides. Each 1x1 tile represents a little square of armor that one hit by an enemy round explodes, absorbing the damage and causing the round to go off before it can penetrate the tank. These cheese slopes are also printed with the name of the Bradley on them. There are all types of interesting panels that make up the sides, some literally just being a hinge and a single 1x2 slope, but they all fit together nicely to create a pretty cool looking body. With that done, I can put it on the chassis and add the frontal plate with some printed headlights and more reactive armor. The back has a couple of cool license plates, brake lights, and a rear hatch that opens and closes. Now comes the final component and the one I'm most excited to build, the turret. This is actually why the Bradley fighting vehicle is probably my all-time favorite military vehicle. IFVs, or infantry fighting vehicles, often look like this, a tank with no turret, since their primary role is to carry troops and provide light infantry support, but the Bradley has a manned turret on top, which is where the controversy of is it a tank or not comes in, since typically a tank has a larger manned turret on it, whereas an infantry fighting vehicle has a small or no turret. But I'll save that debate for a future video. The Bradley is armed with an impressive 25mm Bushmaster chain gun capable of firing depleted uranium, armor-piercing, or high-explosive rounds. If they need to pack a bigger punch, there's a side-mounted tow missile launcher capable of destroying most tanks up to 2 miles away. This makes the Bradley the perfect fighting vehicle in my opinion. Its weapons are capable of going up against modern main battle tanks, as we've seen in a recent real-world conflict that shall remain nameless. And if infantry support is needed, it can immediately deploy up to 6 soldiers from its hold. Before we take a look at the build, I need to make a little diorama to properly display it. I can't go with my typical woodland environment since this is a modern vehicle, and I need to take advantage of that and practice building modern urban environments, especially buildings. So I'm going to build a little city block, starting with the road. I added some white tile to represent lane lines and added some ingots in between to act as rumble strips. I'm trying to get better at building mocks in a modular way, so I assembled the road in chunks. This type of building makes mocks much easier to take down and transport, and I've realized makes it much easier to film a build coming together. Instead of showing you the entire road getting tiled off, I can do one little section, then lay down the other pre-built chunks, creating the road in a quicker, much more interesting way. Let me know in the comments if you like to build your mocks in sections or if you prefer to build them all at once. After the road's in, I can add the sidewalks and the foundation for the building. Once again, doing everything in smaller chunks. The focus of the video is obviously the Bradley, not this mock, so it's just going to be a small cool little backdrop, so I'm not going to go crazy with the building. I'm just going to build the front facade of some kind of office or apartment building. I assembled a bunch of pillars with ingots in front to act as support pillars and used these 1x2x5 bricks with the groove running down the middle for some more texture in the walls. I built the wall with gaps at regular intervals so I could slide the supports in at an angle. Some might call this an illegal building technique since the pillars aren't fully connected to the studs underneath, but to that I say, bruh. I went with the classic layered office building design for the upper section. The trans light blue bricks represent windows for each floor with tan slabs in between. I went with tan parts for those because I felt like more gray would wash out the scene even more with the gray streets. I added a tapering row of brick along the top to represent the building fading out of sight as it continues upward. Just like that, I've got a city block. It's looking way too clean and empty though, but I think I know just the thing that'll help. Garbage. Have you ever been to a large city and not seen, or more importantly smelled trash on the streets? Wait. That might just be a US thing. I've seen people use this cool technique to attach tiles to a string using minifig hands, and I mostly just wanted to try out the technique, which is why I included it here. I also added a small fire hydrant and an ATM on the sidewalk, and it's time for the Bradley to go on patrol. Moving in the streets has become more and more dangerous with the uprising of the Sentinel droids in this megacity. Enemies lurk around every corner and they come well armed. At the pleas of local law enforcement, military support has been sent in to push the droids out and secure what's left of the city. Now massive tanks and IFVs roam the streets. This patrol has been called into the Commerce District and has been deployed out of their Bradley to clear a building rumored to hold several Sentinel hives. I love this build. Sometimes vehicles in 1/45th scale can look a little small and underwhelming, but this has the wide beefy build of a tank. I wasn't sure what to expect in the play feature department, but the front driver's hatch opens and can hold a minifig. The back does open as well, but there's no interior. I really appreciate that Brick Battlefield added this element because there's a slight indentation and the inside is black, which gives the illusion of an interior, which makes cool deployment scenes possible. The turret is a work of art. It can rotate 360 degrees and is shaped beautifully, using a windshield piece to capture the rounded backside just like on the actual Bradley. To my immense happiness, the gun barrel elevates not just up but even down to a negative elevation to target enemies up close on the ground. And of course you can't forget the tow missile launcher, deployable for more daunting targets. All things considered, it's a pricey model, but that's to be expected coming from the world of customs, and I'm happy I bought this. I feel like I got a good value from it. I have a lot planned with this build as well as its good friend the M1 Abrams tank, so stay tuned for future projects. But my next video is a big one because we're taking a leap back in time for episode 1 of my first ever World War II mock series. So get hyped for more tank action. But that's a wrap for this review. Don't forget to let me know what you think of the mock and Bradley in the comments, and until next time, happy building.